Following the unexpected excellence of Into the Spider-Verse back in 2018, safe to say expectations for Across the Spider-Verse were quite high. But as we've seen a lot in the past few years, Hollywood just has this thing of delivering a tentpole film that just comes out the gate swinging with unexpectedly great awesomeness, and then having a sequel to that film come out and just suffer horribly from sequelitis and not even come close to that first film. And thankfully, Across the Spider-Verse does not suffer that same fate. Clearly, the storytellers and the creative forces involved with the Spider-Verse films know what they're doing and also give a crap about what they're doing. Their entire goal, clearly with these two films, is character and making you give a crap about those characters, mainly Miles Morales. His character arc in this film is just so compelling. The first film was about him stepping up and really becoming Spider-Man for the first time. This film is about him really finding his true Spider-Man identity and how he wants to be his own Spider-Man in his universe. And they illustrate that perfectly when they get to the Spider Society and they start breaking down what it truly means to be Spider-Man and all the different events across the different multiverses and Spider-Verses that connect all the different Spider people together in them being Spider-Man on a massive cosmic multidimensional level, and how Miles wants to kind of break that mold and, like he says in the trailer, do his own thing and be his own Spider-Man. That I thought was wonderfully well realised, and it allows for yet another great celebration of the Spider-Man character by acknowledging the typical things that happen to Spider-Man, but in a way to move a new Spider-Man character forward by subverting those Spider-Man tropes and cliches, sort of like how Into the Spider-Verse did. And like Into the Spider-Verse, it doesn't end up becoming a parody of Spider-Man, but again, a celebration. And it serves as a really good coming-of-age story for Miles Morales in the process as well. Honestly, as fun and enjoyable as the swinging and the action sequences are with the insanely amazing animation, the moments that stand out to me the most in Across the Spider-Verse are the small character moments, like Miles talking to his parents and talking to his mother, and his mother, there's the scene you see in the trailer where she's telling him to go out into the world but pretty much not forget her and the dad and just remember who he is and stand up for what he wants and all that kind of stuff. And there's also this really great conversation between Miles and Gwen early on in the film. They're sat on the side of a building or something, and I was just really compelled by these character conversations. And it's just really touching, the way it's written, performed by the voice actors, and just how it just grows you even more attached to these animated characters on screen. Now with Into the Spider-Verse, admittedly, it took me about 2 or 3 viewings to fully appreciate that film. And I find myself in a similar position after my initial viewing of Across the Spider-Verse, where everyone is just raving and bouncing off the walls with hype about it, some people even calling it the greatest superhero film of all time. And I'm sitting here the night after my first viewing saying, well, I don't think it's the greatest superhero film ever made. In fact, right now, I would say Into the Spider-Verse was a slightly better film than Across the Spider-Verse. It's not necessarily because of any flaws I have with Across the Spider-Verse, which aren't that many necessarily. I would say the only one to me that really stood out was the last 20 minutes. I felt kind of dragged a little bit. I felt like it was taking a while to get to its cliffhanger conclusion. And I was kind of sitting there just kind of waiting for it to drop it on me. And it was just taking a little bit to get there. Not that there wasn't any compelling stuff happening in that 20 minutes. It's actually a really good scene with some characters that I won't spoil. It's just that last little chunk of film, I personally felt them taking their time getting there. Also, this is a part 1 film, so by design, it's not a complete experience because we have the next part, Beyond the Spider-Verse, coming next year that's going to continue the story. And in that regard, I like Into the Spider-Verse just a little bit better because it's a complete film, beginning, middle, and end, whereas this one isn't. And again, I know it's by design. So yeah, I'm not necessarily just bouncing off the walls with insane hype over Across the Spider-Verse and just shaking with how incredible this film was. But it was still really good. I must emphasize that. I really enjoyed the film. I loved the characters. I cared about the characters. The adventure was fun. The animation was insanely spectacular. The different animation styles that they throw in there with the different Spider people was really fun. I really liked Spider-Punk, voiced by Daniel Kaluuya. He was awesome. Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara, really stern character, but you also understand why he's stern and why he ends up doing certain things later on in the film. It's a compelling character film first, and an exciting multi-dimensional Spider-Man adventure second. They also do a great job of establishing the Spot as a villain and why he's such a massive problem for the Spider Society. And I'm excited to see how they deal with that problem in Beyond the Spider-Verse. And when this film ends with that cliffhanger ending, which is not entirely the cliffhanger ending I was expecting, kind of some different stuff they're doing there, pretty surprising. But when you see those words "to be continued" on the screen, you're going to be like, okay, Beyond the Spider-Verse, gimme.